Welcome back to Stauffer Garage, guys. Today we're going to be detailing this 2008 Audi TTS, which needs a full transformation on the inside. If you guys cannot see from the before shots, I don't even know how you can get that much cigarette ash in that one little tray without ever wanting to just clean it. I don't understand that, but we're going to be getting it all out of there today. We're going to be ripping out the seats, the interior, everything to get this thing looking like brand new again. So if you guys are new, smash that subscribe button down below. Make sure you stick around to the very end to see how this thing turns out. Without further ado, let's get started. So I'm really excited that we finally have a car that is not a farm truck. I know you guys have been asking for one, but it's been harvest season in Ohio, so that's why there's been so many dirty ones in particular this time of year. But now we have this Audi TTS, which I really am so shocked with how much cigarette ash is coated on the inside of this car, because it's a really nice car, but it's literally covering everywhere inside this vehicle. So even though it's a small car, it takes just as long as some of these bigger ones because every surface has to be touched. My favorite part about this car in particular is the fact that it is a hatchback, which opens up the rear, opens up the entire car for a lot of different shots and angles that I typically wouldn't be able to get with a car of this size. Now with the seats removed, you get a really good idea of how much stuff the owner of this car had spilled, dropped, the ash getting everywhere, crap underneath the seat. I mean, I don't understand how a car of this size can be this trashed, but lo and behold, I am always amazed once again with how bad this car truly is. And I want you guys to guess, how much change did I find in this car? I want you to guess down below. The winner that guesses the closest by next week's video, going to get a complete set of Fox Clean cleaning products. We're going to get a drying towel, 3 microfiber towels that are blue, 3 grays, and a set of detailing brushes. So comment down below, how much change did I find in this car? With that being said, I want to recommend every one of you heading over to foxclean.com after this video, picking up your set of detailing supplies that you need, because these prices are still from the Black Friday special, so they're over 40% off. Heading over there now while supplies last, because I am very quickly running out of inventory with this special, so take advantage of it now. Now it's time for that moment that you all have been waiting for, the cleanup of that ashtray and all that cigarette ash completely caked inside there. It was like the never-ending sand pit, to be honest, and I slowed down this segment just for you guys to enjoy. Yeah, it literally was never ending, and it was just like I said before, surprising that this was never something thought of to be cleaned up by the previous owner. Only one area of this vehicle that had pet hair, and it was the back of these seats. So my guess is that the owner had transported some sort of animal in the trunk of this hatchback, which I guess makes sense. But nonetheless, this pet hair brush that I'm using here is going to be carried on Fox Clean soon. It is my own personal brand and color combination that I know you guys are going to love and enjoy. And I'm going to start taking pre-orders here in the next several weeks, but by mid-January they will be completely in stock, ready for you guys to pick up, and they are awesome. I will tell you, they kick ass. They do better than any other pet hair brush I've used, which is why I'm excited to be finally carrying them for you guys to check out. Now I know a lot of you probably will never clean underneath that rear bench seat, but it is a kind of catch-all, kind of like underneath the center console can sometimes be, or underneath your seats. It is surprising how much will fall back in there, especially with the seats moving forward and back or folding down in whatever car you own. So if you ever have the opportunity to, typically they just pop up from the front and then pop out. This was one of the easiest cars I've ever had to remove this bench seat from. But if you ever have the opportunity to and you ever want to check, you know, doing it once a year, even if you just get the car, doing it once, if you don't have a lot of passengers right in the back, definitely recommend doing it at least once to make sure that the area is clean and there's no bugs or food or anything back there that might be causing your car to get smelly or get infested with any sort of critters. Now it's hard to see in this shot, but the steering wheel was caked with a lot of tar and cigarette, smoke residue that kind of collects on the steering wheel from the owner's hand from smoking a ton. I had to spend a ton of time kind of getting that removed, even though there was a lot of wear parts. I just had to be careful with how much scrubbing I did so I didn't remove any of that dye from those areas that were extra worn. I know there's some of you that are very upset with me spraying this navigation system and the stereo directly with spray, but in a car of this level and a lot of these dusty ones I do where everything's covered with some sort of dirt, you have to, because you need to tackle every single area of the vehicle. This car in particular, the navigation screen had a thin layer of crap coating it completely, to the point where I had to spray it twice, wipe it down with a microfiber towel, fold it over, wipe it down some more, just to get it to the point where you could see the screen clearly, because it had so much cigarette ash caked on it from the previous owner. With these vents cleaned as best I could with my detailing brushes, the next thing to do is to blast them out with steam, because you can get into some of those grooves that you typically wouldn't be able to, plus the steam will infiltrate and go inside the entire aircon system and flow through every other vent within the car, which will help kill any sort of bacteria or viruses or any contaminants inside that system that you'll never be able to get to unless you completely disassemble the entire vehicle, which is obviously not feasible 99% of the time. These seats were actually in really good condition, except for this center bolster area, the red part in particular. But the problem that I started to run into, and this is with any leather seat, as it gets more worn and as it's more neglected over time, what'll happen is no matter how much cleaning agent you provide or how much you use your soft drill brush to kind of get into any of those little grooves or fibers, there's kind of a point where you get to diminishing returns, because those creases and grooves will never get 100% clean, and instead you're going to start pulling out some of that dye from that leather itself. So
you have to be careful with how far you take it and just kind of figure out, okay, now I'm starting to see some discoloration, which now I know that it's probably time to call it quits. This is probably as clean as it's going to get unless I, replace the leather or go to a more extreme measure. But for this seat in particular, it turned out, you'll see in these before and after shots real quickly how much better it is just with that two-step drill brush and cleaning phase. With some of these leather seats in between these different seam lines, you can get stuff caked in there so much that you really can never get it out with just a detailing brush and your all-purpose cleaner or your leather cleaner. Even if you let it soak in there, sometimes it's not good enough. But I have this metal pick tool which you use for kind of getting hoses or couplers off, and it's got not a super sharp point to it, but enough that you can slide it in between here without scratching the leather or ripping any of the seam threads, and it just does a good enough job to remove any of that crap that gets stuck in there to make the process that much quicker when you go to clean it. Now I will say that Audi is on my crap list as well for horrible carpets in the trunk. I'm just gonna go ahead and sum it up that I think that everybody must have crap carpets, because when you get dog hair or any sort of fibers in a lot of these trunk carpets, and especially on the back of seats, sometimes it's near impossible to get them all out, except for going one by one and picking them out with your fingers. So I used the drill brush here, I used my pet brush here, I tried to use everything I could to get them all out, and I still ended up having to use my fingers to pick them out. But that's just sometimes how it goes, and if you ever run into that situation, just realize you are not alone in your frustrations. Now this tool from Invisible Glass for cleaning your windows is one of the tools that I would recommend that anybody picks up. I'll have a link below. It's definitely a must-have for anybody that's trying to clean their car themselves, because it allows you to get leverage, it allows you to get into the back part of your windshield, whether it's in the rear window or the front window when you're inside the car. It's a game changer, to be honest, and I recommend that if you want to start cleaning your own car yourself, or if you want to make sure your glass is perfectly clean, it's a tool that you pick up. So like I said, I'll have it linked in the description box below for you guys to pick up. And like it was before when I was vacuuming it, this ashtray was a never-ending caked on residue that I had to keep spraying, filling with all-purpose cleaner, and then using my brush once again to try to get all of the caked on cigarette ash out. And after several tips and dumps and sprays, I finally got it completely clean. Now this little carpet area just behind this seat, you will be surprised with how much crap gets pulled out of it when I pour out the extractor dump. Black carpet is the best at hiding any sort of stains or spilled drinks or whatever. But at the end of the day, even if you extract them, they do change back to a more darker, rich black color that was original from the factory. So I definitely recommend, if you have the opportunity to extract your carpets, even with black carpets, definitely do it. Now with the seats all reassembled back into the car and all those harnesses plugged in, now it is time to connect the rear trunk module and reconnect the battery. So that way we could restore power to the vehicle, make sure everything's working properly, there's no fault codes that need to be cleared with our OBD scanner, and make sure the car is ready to go for the final stage of this detail. A commonly missed portion of the vehicle to clean too is also your key fobs. Make sure you're wiping down your keys, getting a brush to clean into all those different little grooves, especially with the way things are right now. It's not a bad idea to do on a weekly basis anyways. And when it comes to getting into every little groove or spot, the next thing to do in this detail in particular is to bust out the ozone generator, turn on the AC system with it on recirculation, so that way you're flowing that ozone throughout the entire vehicle, throughout the entire AC system, to kill any sort of odors, bacteria, mold, or viruses in the vehicle itself. It's definitely a good thing to do, especially if you smoke in your car or had a smoked car in general. It definitely helps get rid of those smells. I will say it has been a while since I've done a car that was smoked into this extreme. There was only one other car that I remember that had this much cigarette ash in, but this one is definitely on the top list of the best transformations I've ever done, in my opinion. This one was one of my favorites because not only was it dirty to begin with, but because it was an Audi and a nicer car and kind of more of a sports car, they always look awesome at the very end, especially in the after shots here. So I want you guys to make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your weekend, and thank you guys for being part of Stauffer Garage Crew, and I'll see you guys in the next video.